We have a great talk arranged for everybody here today.
Yes. So welcome. And I've just shared in the chat a link that will get you to a place where you can download pretty good and interesting stuff that we prepare for you. Some of that material you can download now, including the slides we are going to present. And if you are nice enough to give us feedback by the end of the meeting, you can also access a lot of other materials, including the cycles book from Bryant and very interesting the case study and all the information we will share today. So please, 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 please give us your feedback. It's really important to improve our next talk. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about the challenge to doing innovation. What are the uh, different things, different tricks we have to take into account when we are working with specific markets or specific regions. And we're going to see whether a design sprint, and specifically an AI-augmented design sprint, can help tackling those challenges. We are people who love to put the experience through our bodies, as I used to say, and everybody who knows me know that I love to say that phrase. So we are going to share with you guys a hands-on exercise to see the tools we are working with in action. And of course, after the exercise, we will share all the resources we have been working with and many, many more. So thank you again for being here. And we are going to make together a great time here in this webinar. So let's start by introducing ourselves. Just really, really quick. My name is Ximena. I'm originally from Argentina, but I am based in Madrid, in Spain right now. I have been working a lot about creativity and design thinking. I am a professor at the university, and I'm an expert in education in corporate training. I've been teaching and doing consultancy work in big organizations, top companies around more than 40 countries. And I'm really, really happy to be here with and sharing this space with these two great people that are here with me. Uh, from whom I'm learning a lot. So I'll pass the ball now to Ryan.
I get a blue star. Fantastic. So I know some of you here. My name is Brian Cassidy. I'm first and foremost an entrepreneur. I've done 11 companies in 6 different countries. I have 8 exits along the way. About 10 years ago, someone asked me if I wanted to teach. And I said, who wants to teach? But actually, I found I really enjoy it. I get a real kick out of it. I wrote a book called Cycles, which is the book I wish I had when I was teaching the courses on innovation. I did it with 23 authors, and it's won a few awards. And I'm on a mission to coach, train 1 million innovators by 2027. A little secret there is I've reached 5,000 people last year, which means I have 199 years to go, unless I figure out a way to do this different. And AI is a big part of that strategy. Over to you, Gustavo.
Thanks, Brian. Hi, everyone. Olá a todos. Meu nome é Gustavo. My name is Gustavo, and I'm originally from Rio, but living in São Paulo. I also live in Campinas and in Toronto, in Canada. I'm an expert in innovation and AI. We've been basically sharing a lot of knowledge with Brian over the last months. I'm an MBA professor and corporate trainer, working with many Fortune 500 companies, and also work through design sprints and now with AI. I'm also working with startups and SMEs, small and medium companies in Brazil and Canada. So it's nice to be here with Brian, Ximena, and all of you. Thanks. So, well, let's start. You guys might be wondering, but innovation, as this nice picture depicts, it can be really, really hard, right? if we think about research, if we think about development, if think about team building, communication, alignment, everything at once going on, whether it's a local crisis, a global crisis. We also have to take into consideration legal aspects, right? And so, yeah, it's something that it's really, really hard to tackle, right? And Simona, can you? Thanks. So, what about if we have a tool or a way to align people to understand clearly the objectives, the problem to be solved? So a lot of time, what happens is we think that we have a problem to address, but it's not really that specific problem. There's something underneath, right? And having an innovation that really makes sense to stakeholders, right? Whether it's the client, whether it's a B2B projects, whether it is something for the public realm, right? Is really, really important. And this process, as if you've been involved with innovation before, you know that it can take years, can take at least months, right? Or eventually weeks. But it's something chaotic, is something complex to address, especially in uh, big organizations, right? Because then you have different areas, each area with a different mental model, with a different lingo, right? And different objectives as well and goals to meet. Next, please. So what about if we gather, right, all the previous one, please, Simena. So what about if we gather, right? If we were able to basically gather the right people at once. So I'm not talking about the internal team, right? But also talking about stakeholders. So we have a chain value, we have experts, we have partners, we have distributors, right? Depending on the setting and the sector, right? And ideally the users taking part of this process would be a dream, would be something achievable, would be something plausible. So it definitely is this is something that we would like to address today.
Thanks, Gustavo. Great. And have this question is how can we make this in a much better, much faster, and much easier way? Is there a way we can do it just easier? And we think, yes, we can with innovation sprints. Uh, it's a great, powerful way to focus on what matters, on the most important part of the most important problem, and get the right people involved. So when we're talking about innovation sprints, what are we talking about? It's a very well-known concept. You might know this book, right, by Jake Knapp. Jake was former Google, then went to Google Ventures. He was struggling with brainstorming sessions and how all these sessions ended in non-actionable ideas. So he created this framework, the design sprint, that is running typically in 5 days. And you start from the understanding of the challenge, the market, the setting, the real problems beneath it. You go into a second step where you define the most important problem to solve. You move into a third moment of iteration and ideation, and you create a lot of ideas. You use a lot of different tools to generate as much as ideas as we can. And then we converge on the fourth step where we decide out of all that variety of ideas, okay, which is the most viable, feasible, desirable, and we focus on that. And then we move into the fifth moment where instead of selling the idea, we prototype it, we make it tangible, we make something that we can put in the hands of our stakeholders, of our clients, for what? To get feedback. And then we go into the last part of the end-to-end process and we test with real clients. We go out of the building and we test what we have built so far. So this is typically the idea of a sprint. And why? Why is a sprint a good idea for us? Well, because it's an easy thing to do. It's really well documented. All you need are the basics. And what we're talking about the basics, we're talking about being able to have people in the same room for 5 days, focusing on what matters, to have a clarity on the deliverables we want to achieve, and to follow the process in order to get to those deliverables in the terms of work, how we are going to do it, and importantly, who is going to make the decisions. And that's where design sprints gives us the right structure to follow. The truth thing is anyone can lead a design sprint because it's a very flexible framework. Even when it's run really poorly, we still have positive results. So it's really a very good framework to try. And the how to do it is so incredibly well documented. There's tons of articles, videos, templates, tools. That, by the way, we are going to share them by the end of this talk. That's really easy to do. So that's why we thought design sprint was a good idea. So with design sprint, you have a way to get focused with a structure. So that can lead you to amazing results. So basically how it works. On Monday, you make a map and you choose a target. Then on Tuesday, you sketch some competing solutions. On Wednesday, you decide which is the best option you're going to work with. On Thursday, you build a realistic prototype. And on Friday, you test with your targeted customers. Perfect. That's easy peasy. But, and there's always a but, we have identified 8 key issues that might be troublesome when dealing with a design sprint. The first one is sometimes and too often we run to solve the wrong challenge. We've talked about this with many of the people I know here in this meeting. It's about starting with the right foot, right? And we have to choose the right challenge to be able to acknowledge and get to a good result. Another important thing, the lack of focus and alignment. If we have a team that is really focused and it's aligned, they will get to a great result. But if not, it will totally hit the spot. Another important thing, the timing. Time constraints are really, really key. And when we are in a rush, the first ideas that arise are the obvious ones. Ryan always says that the best ideas comes in the second minute when you have downloaded your brain and have put all the obvious options first. Another important issue, feedback. Can we get feedback on everything? Because when feedback is hard to get, well, we might be biased in selecting the next solution we are going to work with. Another thing that we think it's really, really key is to have time for soaking, the soaking time. If we run this end-to-end process in 5 days and we keep on working with this rhythm, there's not much time to stop and think and tangibilize things. So it's really important to have this token time to iterate and to think it over. So if we don't have that time, then another issue that might arise is that we might end up with half-baked, low-fidelity ideas, and we will keep on going with those. That will lead us also to weak action plans. And let's be honest, how many teams, how many areas, how many organizations can have 5 days of working on one challenge? It's too much needed sometimes to work on that. So we think AI can help solve these issues. We, using these AI tools we are going to share with you today, we can work and deepen our thinking and working around strategy, ideas assessment in a much faster and easier way. We can get more feedback, and AI will help us with that. We can work around bigger, better, and many more ideas. We will have a broader coverage because it will help us go into places we are not even thinking. The iteration of ideas are really easy with the help of AI, and we can get much higher fidelity in a faster way. And all this a lot faster. And here I have to make a claim. It's not about being fast for the sake of it. It's the idea of doing some things fast so we can focus ourselves on the most important things and get the important things done. So we think AI can help. And here the team has developed this AI for Innovation toolkit, the Global Entrepreneurship Alliance, that's been developing 259 different AI tools and 6 apps to help the end-to-end process to go through 4 very unique moments of alignment, building the solution, communicate and checking if that's a solution that needs to be delivered, and systematically improve that solution. We ending up with a pitch, and we will share all these tools with you guys. But it's interesting. We start from zero with a rough idea, and we end up with a ready to share pitch that's been assessed and reviewed and refined with our tools. So when we are working about the AI tools, the basic design sprint process, we incorporate in the understand phase market assessment, persona testing, and the True North, that is a tool, a very powerful tool that we will see together in a bit, that help us enhance and narrow down and refine our challenge. In the defines second phase, we will be working with AI tools for problem framing and stimulus mining. In the ideation part, we will use very interesting tools for mechanical creativity, idea reviewing, idea merging. We'll get to that in a bit. On the fourth part, the decision part, we will work with idea building, more clarity, and interesting part, synthetic user tests. We are going to work with synthetic personas. In the fifth step, the prototyping, we will work with high fidelity MVPs. We will work with interviewing and risk analysis. And on the last part, the last bit, the test, we will work with B-model design, pitch building, and reviewing. So basically, this is how the AI-augmented sprint looks like. We will work for 2.5 days. We will have a preparation moment where we will work on the understand part to understand the market and the challenge. Then we'll get all together on day 1 and we'll work on the defined and ideate phases. On day 2, we will work on the design and prototype parts. And there's some set time to make the ideas more tangible. And we'll get half a day, a little bit later, a week later or so, to make it real and work on the testing. So as you can see, with this kind of structure, we have twice the results in half the time. Gustavo.
Yeah, so guys, you might know the ones that are live in Brazil or have businesses in Brazil that Brazil is very unique, right? It's part of South America, Latin America, but we speak Portuguese, right? We have this heritage from Portugal, right, and not from Spain. So yeah, in this case, we really have to address things in work and think in a different way. Next one, please. So in this case, the $1 million question is how we can address and adapt, right, to Brazil. So first of all, as I just mentioned, right, and it's common sense is about the language. So everything that was developed in Ximena just presented, right, almost 260 different tools across six different apps. It's a lot of work, but we have to make sure that these tools and apps are working in Portuguese, right? And the complexity, because again, Brazil is a very complex country. It's huge. It's one of the biggest countries in the world. And each state has a different culture, has a different habits, has different user needs and consumer behavior. So we really need to address and adapt the methodology to work from at the same time from a global perspective and from a local perspective. So it's really important to focus on system analysis. And another interesting fact about Brazil is that we have some, as I mentioned, Campinas in the São Paulo state. We have a technological hub that is very important in the same way as we have here Fernando that is lived in Florianopolis, and Floripa has its own innovation ecosystem that is also very, very competitive. So we really have to make sure that we bring all this innovation and competition and augmented by AI in order to be successful in Brazil. And a stronger focus on visualization because, yeah, it's really important to provide integration with all these AI visual tools that are part of the almost 300 tools, and we will have later on a hands-on activity, as Ximena mentioned, that basically it will be easier to visualize what we're talking about so far. The flexible deadlines, right? Because yeah, now it's lunch. It's pretty much lunchtime in Brazil, and so we have to adapt whether it's a 2.5 day sprint or whether it's a 1 day and a half sprint to maybe to have over a week. So we have something in the morning or we have sessions in the afternoon, right? To basically accommodate and address the client needs. And this willingness, right, to work longer, harder, considering all this diversity and the longer days than in Europe that we have right now. So this is really important to address. So what we really need is, this is a cliche, right? But we have this special need for tropicalization, right? And because Carnival in Brazil is different from Carnival in any other place, and we have different places also celebrating Carnival, but we have our own spices and we have our own costumes and habits. So we really need to adapt AI, right, and in this design sprint to our local market. Next one. Next one, please. Okay. And then, yeah, I'm not covering here everything, but we have these phases and we updated, right, these tools and these phases and the steps to the local markets, right? I was born in Rio. I lived I'm over 50 years old, and I lived for over 40 years in Brazil, almost 10 in Canada. But all my background and my experience is pretty much from Brazil and now in São Paulo, right? But so from the preparation, when it comes to logistics, right, the strategic assessment, the stimulus pack, and going to all the other phases, right? When it comes to alignments, how might we agree targets, and the communication and checkpoints. And that's really important. The soak time, right? We have to incubate some ideas and some questions, and a lot of things happen during the right time, right? And then we have the phase to make it real through presentations, through elevator pitches, from feedbacks, right? That can come either from both colleagues as well as AI, right? So there's always a way to work. I believe it's a hybrid. It's something that Brian also always mentioned, right? The best way to go is always hybrid, to have AI augmented design sprints, but always bring our smart decisions and our human touch to the process. And then we have to basically build, right? Whether we have the narrative challenge, the presentations, and a lot of things going on back and forth, all the iterations, right, interactions, and by the end, the decision making, right? So we're glad, right, Brian and Simena, to basically bring all these tools, all this content, working in Portuguese right now, and we are ready to go with your challenge and addressing your needs.
So, can you go back for just a second? Gustavo, what is really different between what we would do in the Brazilian market versus someplace else?
Well, first of all, we have the language.
Yeah.
Right. And when it comes to AI, right, it's similar to design thinking, Brian, that we have here a prototype, right, that we really have to test, right, and to adapt and to iterate. So this might be not the final version, but as long as we start developing projects here, some new things will come up, and we'll have to basically keep adapting to client needs, regardless the different sectors and different um, complex systems that we mentioned before.
I think for me, the biggest difference is, and this is my experience being in Brazil for a while, it's an incredibly competitive market and an incredibly complex market. When you're doing work, you have to think about getting things right more often, and you have to have a wider view. And I think what we're looking at is a difference for the Brazilian market is much more a focus on a holistic aspect of bringing the stuff together rather than just punching through a weak idea and then seeing if it works, because a weak idea isn't going to make it in Brazil. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. We even mentioned about autonomous cars, right? It's pretty simple to test autonomous cars in California, in Silicon Valley. You have a perfect environment, right? And then in Brazil, we have a lot of things going on on streets and potholes and people misbehaving, and yeah, anything can happen from cyclists and motorcyclists and beggars and everything. So yeah, it's this is something really important to point out, Brian. Thanks.
When we talked about it, you gave me an expression like the Frank Sinatra song. If you can make it in Brazil, you can make it anywhere. And I think it is a tough market. I think we work really hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Together. Sorry, I just wanted to focus in on that a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, and then everyone here probably already had a experience with AI, right? And sometimes we think that the problem is about the content overloads, or sometimes, or maybe everything altogether is about bias, right? And we heard a lot of stories about images, right? And recently from Google, and I'm not going deeper into that, but we know that AI inherits our human biases and hallucinations, right? It's still something that it happens, but Brian and myself have been working for a long time with AI, and it tends to hallucinate less and less than 1, 2, 3 years ago, and so things are getting better, right?
So one of the things that's interesting, we look at hallucinations as a bad thing, but it's one of the things that allows AI to be creative,
Mm-hmm.
because it never gives you the same answer twice. But I think
Yeah.
we have to start out with is looking at some of the myths and facts around AI. There's a myth that AI is going to give you great content. AI doesn't give you great content. There's a myth that AI is going to make your work faster. Well, actually, if you use AI wrong, it makes your work slower. There's a really good set of studies that have been run between the Harvard Business School and Boston Consulting Group. The first thing that you'll see there is if we look in the area which is creativity, creativity is where AI is actually having the generative AI is having the largest impact. They did a study where they had consultants working on creative tasks, and they took the two groups. They took the smartest or the best consultants, put them in the top group, and they took the bottom group, and they gave them the same task, once with AI and once without AI. And what you saw is in both groups, a pretty significant increase in productivity. For the top participants, 17%, which is about a day per week. The bottom half participants, 40%. But what's really interesting here is the fact that it brings everybody up to sort of the same level. So in fact, AI is the great leveler, bringing everybody to a new level of productivity. You switch to the next one. But there's a big issue. And that is when you use AI for things that AI is not good at, there's issues that come up. And in this study, they did something which was very clever. They gave the consultants a challenge, which they knew was outside the domain of knowledge of the AI. They had one group which didn't have access to AI, which is the control condition. That group got the answer to the questions wrong 15% of the time. There was another group of clever consultants who were trained all about how to use AI, told all the fantastic advantages of AI, and they used AI to solve the problem. And they ended up getting it right just 60% of the time, or actually errors 3 times more. What happens is AI is good at helping you improve, but it can also help you go quite quickly in the wrong direction. One of the things I'm quite interested in is how you can use AI in the area of creative thinking. If you go forward, there's a certain degree to which you have to trick AI to get it better. If you say, look, give me 10 ideas to something, it usually won't give you very good ideas. If you are a little bit more specific, and we use something called a CAR format, context, action, result. Context is your objectives. Action is I want you to think like this, and the results is do it this way and deliver the results in this format. You'll get much better results. And then there's lastly something called chain of thought, which is to take the ideas that are generated and improve them step by step. With these ideas in mind, we wanted to test how AI could be effective in the creative process. And we ran a test. We had a bunch of students who were applying for a job, and we gave them a creative task. Some of them we didn't give access to AI. Some of them we gave access to AI. Some of them we gave access to AI, and we told them how to be clever about writing up objectives. And the last group, gave them AI and told them a little bit about how to use it. And we're looking at a simple creative task. The measure here that we're looking at was we were looking at developing an idea. This isn't very important, but it was developing an idea for a physical product for students in the US. And what we wanted to do is measure how good the ideas were based on purchase intention and novelty. Good, going forward. One of the things that that's important here is to realize that last group, which is smart AI, is actually sometimes not that hard. In fact, the best scoring thing that we'll find in this test was a really simple prompt. The prompt was, here's my objective. Please generate 80 ideas based on the TRIZ inventive principles for our challenge. Not a very complex prompt, but I don't know how many people in the room here know what TRIZ is. In fact, you need domain expertise, you need smart AI to identify what are the tools that you're going to use. And let me show you the results that came out. We had 5,402 ideas, 280 from humans without AI, 460 from humans with AI, and 4,662 that got a combination. That's a lot of ideas. Actually, I didn't know there were this many ideas for products for students in the US. Keep on going. We had 3 measures: quality of the ideas on average, diversity, and the hit rate of top ideas. In advance, maybe you put in the chat where you think we'll end up. But first one that comes up is the average quality. Go forward, Ximena. So what we have here is human beings working by themselves. That's the very top, the 4.23. And then we have all the different types that we're doing, different ways that we're using AI, humans plus ChatGPT. Basically, what you see is they're similar, but not that different. Statistically, from an academic point of view, there's a difference, but from a practical point of view, there's no difference. The second thing we can look at is something called idea diversity. And here, thank goodness, there's a place that we still beat AI. Idea diversity is measured here by something called cosine similarity. Really diverse ideas have a score of 0. Really similar ideas have a score of 1. Human beings are at 0.12. AI is somewhere between 0.22 and 0.35, meaning human beings win for a change. Maybe they won't win in the future. We keep on going forward. But the question that comes up for me to you is, does anybody really want 5,000 ideas for new student projects? So what we did is we said, look, instead of looking at average quality or all the ideas together, we're just going to look at the winners. And we're going to see how many winners come out through the different ways. And essentially what we had, 5,000 ideas, 250 that fit in the top box. Click forward, Amanda. And here's where the differences come in. Human beings working on their own hit 1 top idea on average per 100. When you gave them ChatGPT, the percentage went up to 1.5. When you told them just structure your questions so that there's a clear challenge. By the way, a clear challenge is not the easiest thing in the world, and it's something we do wrong consistently. They got about twice as good. And when you gave them the clever tools or the clever things, the numbers went from 5 times to 8 times better. Now, I want to make something really clear. What we're talking about here is not the number of ideas generated, but the hit rate. So the percentage of ideas generated, which are top ideas. Click forward. So I'm going to slide to just to repeat this again. So this is the number of top ideas by area. You can see that, in fact, adding objectives, clarity helps improve. All things go forward. Keep on clicking. But I want to repeat. This is not the number of top ideas. This is the percentage of top ideas. It's easier to build more ideas with AI, and there are more top ideas. That's an important thing when we look at how it would fit together in a sprint. Now, the challenge that's going to come up to me is how are we going to finish this in 15 minutes? Let's see if we get there. Does anybody have any questions up until now? If you put them in the chat, we'll come up there. Essentially, the question that comes up in terms of going forward, it's not a question of humans or AI. It's a question of how humans and AI are going to work together. What we saw before, humans plus AI get better results, but if you don't do it smart, you fail. Humans plus smart AI, and smart AI is predefined tools, knowledge on how to use the tools and how they interact, get even better results, and they get less failures. I see there are questions coming in. Let's see what comes out here. Keep on clicking forwards a minute. So we're going to do a hands-on exercise. Now, what you've got is you are going to get access to a set of tools. You can actually run these on your own. But because of the amount of time, we're not going to have you do it on your own, but really try it out. You will be absolutely gobsmacked. And I don't know how many of the Brazilians know that we're gobsmacked, but gobsmacked means, wow, that's amazing. Let's show you how we did this.
All right. So, I've been working in various sectors in Brazil in the last years. And one particular sector I enjoyed working with and I had pretty great challenges to tackle is the beverage sector. So, Gustavo, Brian, and myself, we were talking about challenges, real challenges that we faced. And we like this idea of working on the healthy alcoholic beverages sector in Brazil. And the challenge we are going to share with you guys is how we can introduce an innovative beverage that is healthy and it's alcoholic. Uh, in a sector it's really tough to enter, that has a lot of regulations, and that some major players of the sector have made some really not that nice experiments lately. So, how can we work on innovative beverages that is self-made? And that's the challenge we are going to share with you guys next. So, in the link, you will find a demo part where you click. You can get to this Google Sheet that you have everything there, so you can try it later on. But basically, the first thing we ask you is to make a copy of it, or you download it, or you make a copy, and you work on that on your own. You have three tabs. This is the first one you see. Then you have one to narrow down and refine your true north. That's the tool we are using to really get the challenge much sharper and deeper. And then you have a third tab that's the step by step. So we will go with you on the step by step process. And again, this is just a teaser. This is just to give you a sense of what we are talking about when we're talking about AI tools. How can we do it? So, basically, also we will share in the material a PDF with the whole chat. So you can see the end-to-end exercise and all the kind of questions and this kind of the change of prompts that we used to get up to the point where we decided that it was good enough to share about this challenge. This is process. We start with the preparations. So we collected information on the sector, data, market analysis, reports, information, and we shared with us. So we could get a really deep understanding of the sector and the challenge we were working with. And we asked the GPT a lot of questions about the impact analysis, the kind of trends, the market analysis, etc., etc., etc. So we could work and keep on iterating and narrowing down our challenge. Ended up on asking important questions, the big questions about, what were the big failures, what were some insights on that failures, etc., etc., etc. And we got to the part of creating our true north. This, again, it's the way that we help to narrow down and have a really, really good challenge formulations where we can start working on strong fit. When we talk about a true north, it's really a very simple way to explain and makes a challenge explicit, going through a narrative, objectives, restrictions, tactical constraints, and where we should start. So the true north is there for you to have it in the goal sheet, so you can run it. It's either in English or in Portuguese. So give it a try. It's interesting because for sure they will bring something different that they bring to us, because there's slightly differences. And with all that information, what we did, we created a personalized GPT where we incorporated our objective here, our true north, and we added the market data analysis we gathered. So we wanted to work on that GPT based on all that research we've done, right? And you will get access to this GPT that's called Brazilian Drinks Innovation Station as well.
Domina, can you explain what a GPT is?
Yes, it's a personalized place where we can use the power of a generative AI, but you have the restriction of working on a specific objective in this case, and it will work within the boundaries of the information we are provided. So we help to focus on the information we are bringing. So it's a personalized, what we call it, personalized GPT, and you can create it in the ChatGPT website.
How long did it take us to make this?
It took about 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's not that long if you know how to do it. So it's interesting for just try and get it done.
Now, so what's really cool is when you've done this preparation work before an event, first of all, you make your events more effective, but secondly, you give everybody the same basic information. It's like you have your file cabinet and everybody can look in the file cabinet and look at all this stuff. Now, once you have a clear objective, we talked about it before in terms of the importance of an objective in delivering better results. If you have an objective and you have a basic set of ideation tools, you will get pretty good results. What we did is we tried out some different ideation tools. We did TRIZ, related stimuli, Scamper. Can you click on the next one? And basically, we have in our toolkit around 60 different tools. If you run all the tools for this challenge, you end up with around 1,000 ideas. If you can imagine 1,000 ideas. Do you want to show the live thing or no? I don't think we're going to have it as far as time.
I won't have the time, so I move on, yes.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to send you a video afterwards. It's about a 1.5 minute video, which shows the key highlights, and you'll just see how this runs through. So basically, you can imagine you have 1,000 ideas. Oh my God, what do you do with 1,000 ideas? Okay, well, actually, it's really cool because AI can help you and evaluate those ideas. There's a prompt which is there in the toolkit. It says, give me the top 10 ideas and score those top 10 ideas with a whole bunch of criteria. What we ended up here was the Carnival Celebration Series. And it was a limited edition ready-made alcohol drink inspired by vibrant flavors of Brazil's carnival. Each drink in a packaged, festive, collectible bottle. I showed this to my wife, who is Brazilian. She said, no, that's not going to work. Brazilian women like beer, but I still think it's a good idea. So we kept on going forward with it. So we have this idea, and we said, look, let's imagine we had this idea. One of the things that AI can do very well is simulate the feedback that you might get. So we created a series of synthetic users and asked those users, tell me what you think about it. So we had a total of 20 users. Louisa, which is our social butterfly, Isabella, our cultural enthusiast. They all evaluated this idea, gave us some feedback, and generated some concerns about the product. Based on that, we say, okay, look, we have our starting idea. We actually dig a little bit deeper, and we try to make a full concept, which is actually in a format that people can understand. And the concept form is problem, promise, proof, payoff. So basically, what are you trying to solve? What are you offering to people? Why should they believe you? And what's the payoff? The most important here is the payoff, which is the Elevate your celebrations with an authentic taste of Brazil's most iconic festival, creating memorable and share-worthy experiences day by day. It's something to drink every day after work. And then we had this bit of localization. If I spoke in Portuguese, you would know that my localization skills for Brazil are not fantastic. But what we can do is we can actually ask ChatGPT to develop names and selling lines. So what we did is we have a series of tools. It generates around 500 different names. It generates a bunch of different selling lines. We had Carnival Xers, which is our name. And I think we had a selling line someplace here. Is that? No, we lost our selling line. What was the selling line, Ximena? Do you remember? Yes,
Sinta a festa. Sinta a festa.
Sinta Festa. So we got a name, a product, a selling line, and you want to present this to management. What do you need from management? You need pretty pictures. And so we have a pretty picture at the end, which is to present it back to management. We came up with our product, Carnavalia, a fantastic set of flavored alcohol beverages designed for Brazilian women. Whether it works or not, that's not the important thing. But you have to realize this whole thing from beginning to end was 30 minutes. If we can do this in 30 minutes, imagine what we could do together in 2.5 days. So what's the role of AI in the sprint? AI in the sprint is not the person who does the work. It's a person who helps you with the work. It's a support for the human initiative. What we've shown you here is about 5 out of 259 tools. There's a lot more there behind the screens. If you fill in the evaluation form, you'll get a link. Unfortunately, all the tools don't run in Portuguese, but in the spreadsheet, we show you how to make them run. So how does it work in practical terms? You go there, get an open access to all these different tools. We customize them when we run sprints. Click on there. Question that comes up is, do you need us? The answer is no, not really. But we can make everything better, faster, and easier. And there's a trade-off. Do you want to go better, faster, and easier, or do you want to go it the hard way? And what do you get from us? We bring market expertise, sprint expertise, AI expertise, make it happen. And I think we're actually kind of fun.
So yeah, and thanks, Brian. So what else we can do for you guys today and over the following weeks? We have training, and when we are talking training, we're talking about adapting to the client needs, right? Whether it's a really fast lightning 2-hour sprint that for sure, right, obviously doesn't cover all the tools and the framework, but at least you can have a sense of how it works. The regular 1.5 day sprint, the full 2.5 day sprint, that is, if you are familiar, and Ximena mentioned, right, the Google Design sprints, the mechanical one was a 5 day sprint, so we cut in half and with way more ideas, right? And again, if it doesn't fit in your needs, we can always talk about it and adapt to your context and to your environment and into the complexity that we have in Brazil, right? So, well, Brian already shared in the chat the slides, right, of this presentation. So it's available there that you can basically download anytime, right? And moving on to the next one, please. And then you can also, through this tiny.cc, you can also download other materials as well. But again, we would love to basically get your feedback. So if you fill out our feedback form, you will get a case study. Brian's Cycles book is an innovation book that was co-created with almost 20 different professionals around the world. these webinar slides and the video. So we would really love to have your feedback about this presentation, about the methodology, about anything, about training. And there you go. So we can talk now, right, Brian and Ximena, as well as we can talk anytime. This is our LinkedIn links, profiles, as well as our WhatsApp numbers.
So a practical detail. My book exists in English, Portuguese, and Spanish. Funny guess, which version sells the best? It's actually the Portuguese version. I sell more copies in Brazil than I sell in the US. Don't think the book is better written in Portuguese, because I actually wasn't able to do that bit. But I think, you can get a copy of the book. The whole book is around how do you run innovation sprints more effectively? How do you do it more consistently? And because I'm on my way to move over to Brazil, I would love to meet up with you. We can do a coffee, we can do a chat. And if you want, there's our LinkedIn links, and there's a link that you can arrange a chat together. And I know that we've used up our hour. We're an hour and 2 minutes. So if anybody wants to take off, take off. But I'd love to open up the mic and hear what people have to say. So my friend, Brazilian friends, is never quiet. So you guys don't have an excuse for not asking a question. Ishmael.
Actually, I don't have any question right now, but I'm keen on the huge amount of ideas, not ideas, the big one or the top ideas that you mentioned. That was really impressive for me. I didn't know such an experiment. I mean, comparing the quantity of ideas produced by a single human, a human with ChatGPT plus the proper prompting, and that was very impressive for me. And of course, I'm interested in knowing more about the tools.
So Ishmael, there's an easy way to test this out. If you download the demo document, you can actually try this on your own. You open up ChatGPT, you plug in your challenge, and you see which ideas. And everybody that I've shown this to is amazed. And it's not the number of ideas, but it's the quality of ideas.
Quality, yeah.
It's easy to give
the top one, as you said.
Yeah.
I will do it for sure.
Okay.
And of course, I will send my feedback after that.
So if you make something really fantastic, you have to send us a little dividend check or something like that.
Oh my.
Thank you for inviting me.
So knowing how hard it is to ask a first question, let's start with the second question.
Okay, I can start here. So this is Fernando, I'm Gustavo's friend. So congratulations
Hola.
on the presentation. It was really great to see how you went from experimentation to really having results. So it was one of the first presentations that I have participated, attended, or even made that we could really show how to take results in a very practical way. How can we go to the next step, automating some tasks using all of these tools? So creating, let's say, agents that can do the work and we can just monitor the results.
Can I answer this one, Ximena, if that's okay? So we have an AI for Innovation toolkit, which automates this whole thing. Okay, that's easy. But the more important thing that's there, and I can give you two suggestions. There's a plugin called Super Chat, where you can create a prompt chain and run a series of prompts. But the important thing is not your ability to go faster, but actually a lot of times your most important thing is the ability to go better. And so I can generate 1,000 ideas or 5,000 ideas, but what you need to do is to be able to evaluate them. And what we give to our clients is we give them access to the back office, which tells you how to take 5,000 ideas and evaluate them in 15 to 20 minutes. But check out the toolkit. I think you'd be really impressed. Ximena, do you have a suggestion?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Brian.
Obrigado, Fernando.
What you can do if you want, Fernando, you know Gustavo, set up a meeting with Gustavo and we'll take you through it step by step. We'll do it. You bring any challenge you want, bring a friend, and we will, in a half hour, show you that almost any challenge, except for understanding women, is solvable in a half hour.
Oh my.
So Gustavo, no excuses for us not to set up the meeting now, right? So because we are trying this meeting for a long time and we couldn't do it, so no excuses right now. So and we have to give feedback to Brian Ximena.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, let's do it. Go Barca.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. And really keep the door open. Fill out the feedback form. We're not going to spam you. We just want to get feedback. You know, was it interesting? How would we make it better? Then what you get is you get access to the video so you know what we've done. I'll give you the 1.5 minute version of this that shows you the whole process, and we'll go forward from there. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Obrigado.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Thank you.